In today's video, we're going to learn how to save our project both as a Photoshop file and as a JPEG. And those are really different. A Photoshop file is what you save as you're working, and it preserves all the edits you have done to your image. So, this is an example of the Photoshop file of this. When I reopen it, I can see all my different layers and I can continue to edit it. And this is very useful. One, I may want to make changes to it later, or you may get some feedback that makes you want to change it. And then you just need to open it and do the edits to the layer you need to make the changes to, and then you can resave it. Photoshop files are only something you can open in Photoshop, and they also tend to be really big files. So you would never hand these off to somebody. Like if you were a photographer and had a client, this wouldn't be very helpful. They wouldn't be able to open it on their computer. The file would be really big, and they could kind of get into messing with the edits that you've done. But it's what you save to preserve all the work you've done so you can continue to edit it. When you're finally done with something, you save it as a JPEG. A JPEG you can open on any device, and it's a reasonable size. And what it does is it will take all these layers and collapse it back into one image that you can't pick apart. So this is the Photoshop file version of it. You can see up here it says collage.psd, and there's all the different layers. Here's the JPEG version of it, and you can see it's the same image, but it's actually just one layer. So I couldn't go back in and make any adjustments to it. It's all permanently glued together into the JPEG version. So that's the last thing you would do. So it's really easy to save your work as you go. You just want to go to File, and you're going to click Save. That's grayed out on mine because I've saved it recently. But you'll just go to File and click Save, and you want to save it on your computer. And then you're just going to go to your file that you have your project in, and you want to name it. So by default, this might be called some number if you're editing a particular image. You want to go in here and change that name to something you're going to be able to find in the folder. Otherwise, it's going to get lost. So I'm going to name mine Collage, as I said. I'll save this as Collage 2 in my case, and it'll pop it into my folder. I've already gotten to my folder, but if not, make sure you're in the project folder that you want to save it into. And you will see here that the format is a PSD, and you hit save. It's going to pop up a window to maximize compatibility. If you want, you can hit don't show this again and hit OK. And now you've saved the Photoshop file. And if I tell you to go fix something or you get feedback, you can go back and re-edit it. When you are all done with it, you want to save it as a JPEG. And that will, like I said, flatten it. And that's what you would hand in for your assignment to Padlet, or to any, or through Canvas, depending how I've asked you to submit it. So once you are all done editing, you're going to save it as a JPEG. It's kind of like if you were working on a paper for your English class and you had to print it. When you were all done editing it, you would go and hit print. In our case, you're all done editing it and you're going to save it as a JPEG. So you're going to go back to File, and you're going to go to Save As. Depending on the version you have, you might also see an option that says Save a Copy. If that's the case, hit Save a Copy. And again, you're going to save it onto your computer. And it's going to, by default, go into the same folder you just saved it. So the file name will be there. And all you need to do is go here where it says Save As Type and change that to a JPEG, which is right in the middle. Be careful, there are 3 different JPEG versions, and you want just the plain old .jpeg, not the other 2. If you don't see it, it may be that yours is set up to need you to hit Save a Copy, in which case that would be right here, and you just hit Save a Copy. It just depends. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to choose JPEG. And again, make sure you have the name on it you want. You hit Save. and it's going to pop up the options. Now we're making sure everything we do is looks good if we wanted to print it, so we don't want it to compress it or make it smaller. So just keep it, slide that slider all the way over to the right. Make sure this says 12, and then hit OK. And now you have the JPEG version.